This is Andy Purewal for Boxing Social in association with Betfred, and I'm joined by Brian the Lion Rose for the first time in 2021. Brian, unfortunately, it's over Zoom and not in person because obviously restrictions around the country and obviously around the world. But how are you? How is life? And Happy New Year.
Happy New Year, mate. Yeah, I'm just happy to be back training. New year, new me. So yeah, I'm just happy. You know, I've only been in a week or two, so back feeling positive, feeling fitter, and mentally feeling so much better about myself because these lockdowns and this COVID stuff, you know, it's not good for the mental health, and I have definitely been an example of that over the last year or so.
Talk to me about that first, Brian, before we do come on to kind of what's lined up for yourself, what you want to achieve this year. You mentioned mental health there, and it's become even more of a talking point for just the general public, not just people involved in boxing, but everybody across the UK and around the world as to how they're dealing with the situation currently. How has it impacted you on a personal note?
Well, I'll be honest with you. I'm not saying I've never believed in it because I do. I know people suffer, but until the last probably 2 or 3 months, I've never experienced anything like it. And for the first time 2 weeks ago, I actually said, you know what, I think I'm depressed. I was at that point, but I'm in such a better place now. It's literally put on a pair of gloves, hit a bag, and I feel so much better about myself. It's amazing what physical activity it does for you, and keeping fit and keeping active, and that's all it is with me. I think because I've been putting on weight, I've been stuck in the house. It's just not me that I'm used to. You know, I've got a gym, so I'm always at my gym as well. I've just not been active, and that's all it was with me. So I've been managed to click myself out of it, and now I'm looking to get involved in some big fights in 2021.
Obviously, mate, it's great to hear that you've kind of been able to get yourself back on track now and looking towards the new year, setting yourself some new goals. So let's come on to that. I believe it was New Year's Eve when we saw Kieran Farrell tweet that he's now linked up with you, or you've linked up with him. Talking about that decision to join Kieran and his growing stable of fighters.
Well, yeah, like he's making noise at the moment, and I think he's doing really well with the fighters he's getting. I know he's got loads of good, talented amateurs coming through. And me being his friend, he used to train with Bobby years ago. And I'd like to think that he's learned a lot off me. You know, I've shown the ropes in terms of being a pro, even though he probably never listened. Like he's literally getting up for 4 o'clock in the morning runs and doing these mad diets. He was absolutely mental, Kieran, honestly. So he never listened to me, but I'd like to think that I've shown him a few things. And I just, you know what, I just wanted to give him a chance. I've been there and done it. So him signing someone like me must have been a good feeling for him, because even though he's got talent, he hasn't got someone accomplished, and I have accomplished. So it was probably a good feeling for him just as much as it was for me. So the relationship I've got with Kieran, it's just a lot easier for me to ring him every 5 minutes and say, listen, let's do this, or him ringing me saying, let's do this. It's just an easier relationship to have with someone. Whereas MTK, they got me the big fights, and I can't thank them enough for doing what they've done with me. But I felt in the end like I was in it. I can't explain it, but I was a small fish in a big pond. That's what I was looking for, and that's how I felt. Because they've got so many good fighters, so many talented fighters. So me coming to the end of my career, I think it was the right move to go with someone like Kieran, because he's making noise for me, getting interviews with you, getting interviews with so many other IFL TV. I've never had that before, and it's good to know that someone still cares and still wants me to do well, and that's what I've got in Kieran.
Brian, you mentioned you've known Kieran for a while now, going back years. When you had that initial conversation about working together, was it kind of was Kieran in kind of a sales mode, trying to pitch himself to you, or was it more of a friendly chat?
It was a friendly chat, and he's like, let's put some shows on in Blackpool, and then all of a sudden he's fucking turned up at my gym with a contract and threw a grand at me. I was like, right, okay. Well, I wasn't going to sign it today. And he was like, listen, I brought the contract. I've travelled. You signed the contract. I was like, give me the grand then. So, yeah, it all happened so quick. But, yeah, I'm glad I've done it now. I'm really glad I've done it because, like I say, we can co-promote together. I want to get into managing myself so he can show me a thing or two, or I can end up maybe working for him. You know, I can do my area. I don't know. He's full of ideas, isn't he? So we'll see what he comes up with.
Brian, we did one interview last year. It was probably around August time. You mentioned kind of for you yourself now, for your career, you want the big fights. You need to have big fights to get yourself up for and to get the best out of yourself. Moving on to that topic, where do you see your 2021 going? Who do you have in mind and who are you targeting?
Well, listen, I'm a realist and I know what I once was capable of and I know what I'm capable of now. So, I mean, domestic level, I still honestly believe I could still win a British title. Maybe European, but I mean, my chances of fighting for a world title again are very, very slim, and I know that, and I understand that. So I don't think I'm sitting here and I'm optimistic about fighting for a world title because I'm not. But I know there is kids out there that are calling me out that I know for a fact I'll beat, which is pissing me off, to be honest, because I am better than most of these kids that are calling me out, like the Marcus Morrisons. And listen, on the right day, I know I lost to Fowler, but Scott Fitz, I honestly believe I've got the know-how and the skills to beat someone like Scott Fitzgerald. It's just clash of styles, and I honestly believe I'll beat Scott Fitz. He's pulled out twice, so I've got first blood there. I know he struggled mentally, but at the same time, he has still pulled out them 2 fights. So, yeah, I know my limits and I know what I'm capable of. So, I just want big fights. You know, I know there won't be huge fights to start with, but I know I'm still capable of being involved in big fights. I'm a big name. Like I say, I've been there and done it. I won a British title. I fought for. I've basically done everything but fight for a world title, win a world title. So, I'm a big scout for these people that want to fight me. You know, they want to do a better job than the next person. So, yeah, listen, I'm always up for a challenge. So, I'm willing to fight anyone, really.
The Scott Fitzgerald fight in particular is something which I've seen over social media a little bit over the last couple of days. With that fight, do you carry a sense of frustration that it didn't happen those 2 occasions previously? Is it still kind of annoying you to some degree at this current stage?
Yeah, because I mean, the first time, I trained for 8 weeks for it, maybe longer, and then he pulled out, and then I had to fight Fowler, which was a fucking nightmare for me because he's an Olympian, he's hungry as fuck. He's a different kettle of fish. You know, we're talking about an amateur that's one of the hungriest boxers out there, and I had to fight him at 3 weeks' notice. I wasn't prepared. Whereas I was ready for Scott Fitz, you know, and I was deflated. I'm not gonna lie, when he pulled out that fight, the Blackpool Preston thing, a massive derby, I was deflated. So for me, going into that fight, it just wasn't the right mindset. I'm not saying I would have gone on and beat Fowler, but I did come on strong the later rounds. So who knows? You know, I just don't feel like I've been given the fair, a fair draw of it. I honestly think that he's got my backup, Scott Fitzgerald, because he's took me away from my family twice to go into camp, and then twice he's pulled out. So he's just messed me about, and in a way cost me money.
With the fight itself, let's say if it was to happen, what gives you the confidence that obviously you would be able to overcome Scott? What do you feel you would do better than him and that he would be able to deal with on the night?
I just think I know he was a good amateur, but I just think I'm a better boxer than him. I think I'm more experienced. Listen, like I said before, I'm probably a little bit slower than I used to be. You know, I'm older. I'm 35, but I think I'm a better boxer, and I can also take him to the well. You know, I can stand and have a fight, and I've proved that. You know, when I first started my career, everyone's like, "Oh yeah, he's a lovely, neat boxer, Brian." You know, he needs to bite down his gum shield sometimes. And I started doing that. And I can prove I can have a fight, and I also can prove I can outbox anyone. So I just honestly believe, with it being a local derby as well, fighting on, I've been involved in some big fights as well, and I think the occasion might get to him. I'm used to those big nights. I'm used to, I fought for a world title in New York, and you don't get bigger than that. So I just think I've got more experience. I'm a better boxer, and if he really wants to stand and have a fight, I can do that too. I just think his style suits my style, and that's the truth. I'm not, people will laugh at me and say that, Scott Fitz is too hungry, he's too young. But listen, if he comes 70% fit, like he was gonna, because we all know what he gets up to. If he comes 78, I'll stop him. I swear to God, because I'll be 100% fit. But if he comes 100% fit, then I might be in a bit of trouble. But listen, it's whether he can do that or not.
Brian, you last fought, it was obviously Anthony Fowler back in August of 2019, and then I believe Scott fought a couple of months after that against Ted Cheeseman. For the pair of you, this kind of period of inactivity, for again, a lot of reasons out of your own hand, mainly being COVID, Scott having his personal issues, as you mentioned earlier on. Who do you think would kind of benefit more or benefit less from this time away from the ring?
It depends what he's getting up to. To be honest, listen, I like to go out and have a party, and I like to have a drink, but at the same time, I'm always in the gym. So I'm always ticking over. Yeah, I'm overweight, but I'm always ticking over. I'm always training. So I don't live the life he leads, I don't think. But so I think it would probably benefit me more because I don't know what he gets up to, but I think it'll benefit me more because I do stay in the gym, and I spar with the amateurs in my gym and stuff, which isn't the same, but I always keep my foot in, which helps me a lot. Him being stripped of that British title as well, I think he's been stripped of the British. It makes so much more sense. Like, I understood when he had the British title and he had to make these defences, but there's no reason now why that fight shouldn't happen. He should look at a 35-year-old man and think, I'll have him for a warm-up. Do you know what I mean? Or it's crazy that someone in his prime won't fight someone like myself. Twice he's pulled out. It's a massive fight. Everyone's crying out for it. Blackpool, Preston. People, unless you're from Lancashire, you don't realise how big that fight is. It's huge. It is a big fight. And he just needs to sign whatever it is and make the fight happen, because it's on his terms. He's signed with Matchroom. They're the one with the pull. So let's make the fight happen.
I know you've obviously got your eyes set on Scott if it could be made, but just away from him, you mentioned Marcus Morrison earlier. He was a name that we spoke about quite a bit when we spoke last year. If you could kind of name me, say, 3 other fighters you would like to face, who would they be other than Scott?
Well, Marcus Morrison's name keeps popping up, and he's mentioned my name a few times. I like Marcus. He's a good lad, and we get on. We do get on. I get on with Joe Gallagher. So there's no hatred there whatsoever, but it is just business, like every boxer says. But Marcus Morrison's name keeps coming up. So that is the fight that I am aiming for in, say, 12, 15 weeks, end of April, early May. Hopefully in Blackpool. I mean, this is all just hearsay. This is what we've spoke about. But like I say, if anything pops up in the meantime, something bigger, I'll take it. Like the Scott Fitz fight or anyone. I mean, I can't name names off the top of my head, but I literally will fight anyone anyway. If I feel like there's a title at stake, or it'll give me a stepping stone to a better opportunity, then I'll take the fight. But I am looking at fighting Marcus Morrison next, and that's the fight I want, because my name has been mentioned by him a few times.
Now, obviously, you last fought at middleweight, Brian, just with Scott Fitzgerald. He last fought light middle, Marcus middle again. Kind of, if, say, you fought Scott, would it be a light middle fight? Do you think it would have to be at middle, or where do you see your career progressing?
I prefer being at light middleweight. I've always said that I was too small for middle, and I've always felt a bit small. I think I've been found out at middleweight because they've been a little bit stronger than me. and that's how I felt in the fights. But I can compete at light middle or middle. So if Scott Fitz wants to, like I said before, I'm up for a challenge. I'll fight Scott Fitz at middle. I think I'll have to fight Marcus Morrison at middle because he won't make light middle. Plus, he's got that WBC silver or international. He has got that belt, so there's a reward. So I would fight. I'd prefer to fight him at middle. But I am, if an opportunity comes up at light middleweight, I can make the weight. I proved that against Fowler. At 35, I made 11 stone 1, and I came in light to prove that I can still make light middle.
Brian, we'll leave that interview there now. I'll leave you to enjoy the rest of the day. But I'm going to leave a final word to yourself. For everyone who's going to tune in and for the rest of your journey for this year, what would you like to say to everyone?
This is probably going to be my last year, so if it's my last year, get behind me, support me. I might be able to fight, but I'm also a nice lad. I'm a good kid. So get behind me and support me.
Brian, obviously, as I was saying, Brian, I'll keep in touch with you. Best of luck with kind of getting back into camp now, and hopefully you'll have some news soon. I appreciate your time tonight, and thanks for speaking to Boxing Social.
All right, thanks, mate. Happy New Year.